Hey guys, my name is Dr. Sharnael, and we're here with Megan and Craig for part two.
Hey.
Looks like my internet isn't very great. So hopefully this is going to be awesome. Yeah, for those of you who missed, my internet isn't very great. So hopefully this is going to be.
Hold
You're
on.
just dilocated.
I think that was my fault because I had another screen open. So.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Yay, welcome everybody. Please do your due diligence and share, like, subscribe, all the things. We recently just found out like 70% of the people who watch our show are not even subscribed. So that means a lot of people are watching, but you guys are not hitting the subscribe button to get the notifications. So you won't know what's going on. So definitely hit subscribe. That way you know what's going on and what's coming up. If you missed part one, I can put that in the link here in a little bit because part one was pretty freaking awesome. I'm just going to say that's why we had to do part two. Mm-hmm. But without further ado, I don't know if we have any other announcements, but
I just wanted to say, Sharnael, like you just said about subscribers, we're planning some, some member-only events. Obviously, Megan, I believe you're doing some readings. Is that right?
Yeah, we're gonna do. Sharnael and I are gonna do readings together. I think in November. So
excellent. Yes. And you got Matthew Morney and doing some readings. He gave me a reading, and it was amazing. And yourself live on air, which was really cool. Yeah. But also, we're going to be planning some, just some like live Q&A type stuff. Like, for me, the days of celebrity are no more. I'm not in this to be a celebrity or anything like that. And I want to hear what people have got to say, if they've got any questions. And, I think we're going to be planning some events where, we get people in on the call and have a chat and, for the members. So just strongly encourage people to get involved, become a member, and we'll see you on board there. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this weekend, Sunday, I think it is at noon, members only Destiny reading. So only the members who are in will have a private, very small, intuitive Destiny readings, and just for you guys. So the chances of you guys getting the opportunity to meet with us and talk to either Megan or Matthew personally would be a lot more, because that obviously those numbers are smaller in that group than a mass public. So definitely jump in there. And we're going to do a free biofeedback scan and consultation monthly as well. And then just some random Q&As and or spotlight people, or we don't know. We're kind of just doing this as we go, and we're going to have a lot of surprises, and it's going to be fun. So definitely check that out. Okay, Megan, give us a little bit about you. I know people are very familiar with you, but just a little bit about you, and then Craig, and then we're going to get going. I see there's some people from Norway and Switzerland, Alberta. I love to see where you guys are from. I always like to kind of get a gauge on where you are. And welcome, Lisa Warden, our new member. So cool. Thanks for joining us. Stephanie is a member and she's here. Dana is a member. She's here. So cool to have our members and everybody. We're just glad to have you. So Megan, tell us a little bit.
I'm so excited to hang out with you guys today. I was like, yes. I want to comment too. Well, I'll introduce myself. My name's Megan Rose. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Patreon channel where I do readings for people and meditations. And I also wrote a book. I talk about aliens. It's called Welcome to the Future. But I was saying, Craig and I were saying before we popped on how important it is, like how badly people need help right now. Like people are struggling. We're coming into the holiday season. I feel like people's stressors are really coming out. People are really afraid of the future and not sure where to turn. False idols, celebrities falling. So it's just kind of energetically not a mess, but there's a place and a space for healing. So I think, the membership option is great.
Yeah, indeed. People really need it at the moment. I mean, obviously this week we've had a massive, without going too deeply into it, Sharnael and Megan, a big character in the disclosure community. He's been, shall we say, exposed. A lot of us knew this stuff was going on behind the scenes, but it's gone very public now. And a lot of people are disappointed, disorientated, questioning things, which it's good to question, obviously. But they're kind of like just fed up with the whole drama. And I tend to agree. I'm fed up with the drama too. And it's just a good time to get grounded, do some clearing and connect with people, who are on the same, we're going in the same direction. And that's why I love doing these shows, because, I so vibe with you guys and it's a real honor to be here.
Awesome. I was thinking the other day, I was like, you know what? I don't care if someone has 2 followers or 2 million followers. Like, the bar for how I feel who I want to collaborate with is like very high, integrity, wants to help people. That's how I feel. So.
If I may, Sharnael, sorry, I put a post out this week after the exposure. And I just basically said, I am past being overwhelmed with the information. I'm more concerned about how people are being treated nowadays. How are you treating people? If you've got great information, wonderful, but how you're treating people, that's what matters. And because, there are individuals out there who treat people really poorly. They might have a great message, they might have a great testimony, but, we're still on planet Earth and we still need to be respectful. We still need to walk in love at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. That's something too, like I learned in healthcare. So you could be like the best physician, like be super talented, like know all of the modalities, superstar surgeon. But when you walk into a patient's room and you either minimize their experience, reject them, make them feel dumb because they're not as educated as you, you're not in alignment with, this is universal law, you're not in alignment with actually healing that person. You're actually in service to yourself. So the energy, even though you have all the skills, all the experience, the energy is not in alignment with healing. And that's part of the crux of, the downfall of the healthcare system. I've noticed doctors or physicians who maybe don't know all the answers or don't claim to know all the answers, or who maybe don't have any, like a lot of experience, maybe are just residents, end up treating the patient better and making them feel like they're being taken care of. They have a better outcome and a better healthcare experience.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, it's true. And I've been saying this for a little bit, because there are, you can't just look at someone's followers and be like, oh, because a lot of people follow you, you must be someone I should follow. And then you follow just because you blindly sheep, not no judgment, but I'm just saying there's a automatic kind of a human thing to follow people that already have a lot of followers, because you think, well, if everybody did it, I'm just going to follow the crowd. What you may not know is a lot of those numbers are actually false. Number one, they're paid and or just generated through 3-letter agencies and other situations, and or just marketing paid. You could pay people to get you followers. That doesn't do anything. And if even a portion of those are real, if they're following someone who has bad integrity, who's always attacking, who's trying to cause division in the community at all times, and whatever, then do you really want those followers anyway? I would prefer if I love our group. We have a great group. I love all you guys. Everyone who's on today, you guys are bright, shiny, radiant beings, and I just love hanging out with not only you guys speaking, but all the these great, brilliant people who hang out with us every week, and they're actually have hearts for service, and I love that. And my dogs are barking, and my cats.
They agree. They're in agreement.
Yes. So, universal law. We only got so far. I believe we only talked about like two different ones, but yeah.
Did we even talk about karma? I'm not even really sure if we did.
I don't think so, but let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, everybody, on the chat? I'd love to understand where you guys are with karma, and at the same time, go ahead and jump in. Where are you guys on karma, Megan and Craig?
I was thinking, like, before I forget, because there's so many like topics that lead into a different topic, but about paying for followers or creating the illusion that you have a large following when you don't really, or it's paid for, bought and paid for. So that energy is not the truth, right? It's not in alignment with the universe. So what you'll be creating, what you'll be generating, and what you'll be attracting to you is like fraudulent, weak,
False, synthetic.
antichrist energy, and it won't be the creator energy. So it will always be out of an alignment with the universe. And when you choose to do stuff like that or choose to live a lie, then karma will come back around because you reap what you sow. So when you lie to other people, you will be lied to. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think karma, you know, first of all, karma is the same as reaping and sowing. You know, if anybody wants to get all like frou and offended because I said the word karma, and please, I invite you to look at it as the actual definition. And karma too, I'll say, doesn't have to be bad. We are getting karma no matter what, good or bad, whether you're doing it on purpose with intention and or by default, because your DNA and everything that you are and everything that you do and everything you talk about is what goes into the field, and what's in the field is what comes back. Even if you're not looking, even if nobody sees you, even if it's in private, everything that's done in private or public has karmic response, good or bad. So when you sow something good, you're going to get a good result. You're going to get something somewhere along the line. It may not even look like the exact same way you did it, but something good will come back from that transaction. Same thing in something bad. You know, I think a lot of times people use karma as like, oh, let her get her karma, and like kind of like a weapon. But karma isn't a weapon. It's just science. There is literal science to it, and it's happening whether anyone realizes it or not. By default, you are creating all the time. And I look at it as a safety net or safety net mechanism of, you know, it kind of keeps you in place, because if you do something bad and there's no consequence, then anybody would just maybe run around and keep doing bad things because they just think it's never going to catch up. And that's not accurate. It's going to catch up. It will always catch up in one way or another. And to the level that you put it out is the level you get it back. So if it's a public attack or division or whatever, you will get that to the level publicly back to you. If it's private, same, maybe not as big as a thing if it was a big public worldwide situation versus just something in the privacy of your own home, but it's still going to get caught up with you one way or another. Just like the word justice can be good. You can have a judge that puts justice in your favor because you've been doing the right things and proved innocence and showed that you're worthy of whatever granted to you, whether it's like money or whatever the thing is that you're in court about, or in a lawsuit about, or whatever, you know. So judgment can be like, I'm going to grant you this because you're good, or I'm going to grant you this because you screwed up. So it can go both ways. And also, please don't get like wrapped up in the whole word of karma, because that word is literally just science. I think people don't necessarily ever want to like even go there because they're coming from a program on a Christian or biblical program that won't allow them to see outside of that word, or, you know, they just get triggered immediately by that word. And, you know, any thoughts about that, you guys?
Well, I think it's like a cycle. Like there's good karma. When you put out good energy, you'll get good energy back. And it doesn't always come exactly the way you think it's going to come. So it's not necessarily A to B or B back to A. It like makes a cycle, and you'll get it back like when you don't really realize it. And I don't really have a good example in my life at the moment, but hopefully I'll think of one. And I was going to say too, I posted this on Telegram the other day. When you have a public platform, and it's always your intention behind releasing information. So sometimes someone can say something, maybe it's perceived as positive or negative, you know, depending on who receives it. But the intention of the person in speaking that message, that intention will come back to you. So if it's done with negative intent to harm someone else, then it will come back tenfold. And if your message is reaching thousands of people, you're responsible for all of that energy that reaches those thousands of people. But it can work in a positive way too. So if you give out loving intent that is blessing thousands of people, then you'll be blessed with that in return. So it can work, you know, it works to your benefit if you have the knowledge of universal law, right?
Yes.
Yeah, indeed.
What do you think?
Yeah, I totally understand where people are coming from. You know, having deconstructed from religious mindsets. I'm not saying I'm fully there or whatever, but you know, for me, it's a matter of identity as well. You know, knowing who we are. You know, we are all pure love, whether we realize it or not. We're all pure light. It's what we're made of. I think you said before, Sharnael, we're made of God. You know, and if we like take religion for example, a massive religious program is I'm nothing but a dirty, rotten sinner, a cancel clear, as you would say, you know, and all this stuff, really, really negative, horrible things about ourselves. Well, if you believe that nonsense about yourself, guess what's going to happen? That's the energy you're going to be putting out, and you're going to get horrible things back. You're going to get what, you know, if you think you're a dirty, rotten, for example, you know, people that in religion that say, you know, I'm a dirty, rotten sinner, they're the ones who are behaving the worst. And when they behave the worst, they're the ones that are getting the worst circumstances back. It's just like a cycle of BS, really. So when you realize that the actual true Christ message is that we are all divine, we are all as Christ on this planet, and you realize, wow, you know, your whole perspective shifts and change, and you realize that there is light in everything, that the whole world really is a glorious place despite the rubbish that's going on. That shift in your inner world, you start to put that out, and you start to attract the things you truly desire, and things will manifest, and like the magic is really activated. And to me, you know, discovering the true Christ message and not the religious one that I was taught as a child, really set me free from negative circumstances. You know, I was constantly self-sabotaging in the past. And as soon as I discovered this, it was like relax. It was like this place of rest and peace. And when you're in that place, that's what you get back. And it's a beautiful cycle. It really is. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
I was thinking while you were saying that too, because I grew up Catholic, and they have, you know, you have to go to confession and stuff. And like, how do I say this? Like repenting to a God that is outside of you, like Christ consciousness, Christ messages is that we're all God. So going to confession, confessing to a priest who is a middleman is really anti-Christ, and it's in the absence of God. And so we're taught to give shame and guilt to the absence of God, which is creating outside of the creator. And then that comes, I don't know if it's called the law of polarity or the law of duality, but that's where you get, there's Christ and then there's the absence of Christ. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and you bringing up intention, I think that's really, really important too. And especially because frequency is everything. So you can say a sentence with the intention of love, and the words may not even be nice, but it's felt as if it was intended, which could be like sarcasm or like demeaning or whatever. Or you can actually say something kind of mean, but with a loving heart. And if people are in trigger mode, which they really are a lot right now, people can say something with love, and especially in text, that's really, you know, that's kind of, I always like to, if I have to address someone like with something that could trigger someone, I always like to actually talk to them in person and or over the phone so they hear my voice, because I can bring it in a voice with the intention, what it's meant to be. And that word intention actually means inward direction. That's where it comes from. It's Latin. It means inward direction. So again, going back to everything you put out, it comes really back, because the limbic system can't tell the difference between me and you. So everything I say to you, feel anything towards you, whether judgment or something beautiful, my body registers that as I'm receiving it. That intention in direction goes directly back to me, because we are all one. There is no separation. We all have a field, and we're all in this collective consciousness. So intention is really key. And I've seen people who can be on a show or whatever and say all the right things, but I can feel and or hear the undercurrent, and I'm sure you guys pick it up too. And it's not a beautiful undercurrent at times. So intention is a really, really big thing. And I've actually had to talk to a couple of people this week and have some discussions that I wanted to, as a mature adult, healthy person, have this conversation with them, but I didn't want to just like block or, send a text that I know that they would be triggered or they're already wounded. So I don't want to add to that. So I just wanted to, in love, explain like where I'm at and, how it makes me feel in this situation or whatever. And just point out, I don't think this is your intention, but, and give them the benefit of the doubt to like speak up or talk about it and not accuse, but just say, look, this is where I'm at and this is what I feel. And can we talk about this without, a block and just being like done. And then you're sitting there wondering, why did she block me or whatever? So I just think we need to get to, I invite everyone to a healthy conversation and a mature conversation with people, instead of just getting so triggered that we just like block. And then that other person is more wounded and more upset because they really don't know why they just got ghosted, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think that things can get lost in translation with comments and posts and texts, even though there can be good intention or bad intention to those things. Do you guys have any insight on that?
I think two people can say the same thing and their intentions can be different. Like the message is different. It's really about the frequency combined with intention is what has the power behind it. And I remember, this is kind of a funny story. When I was well, not really funny. When I was a nurse, I was taking care of this guy who was super sick. He was so sick. And he was on a certain type of like little oxygen machine. He wasn't quite ready to go to the ICU, but he was like this close. And he wanted to die, so he kept throwing his oxygen off of his face. And he would turn blue, he would pass out. I'd almost have to call a code and bag him and stuff like that. And I think I actually had to one time. But I had to sit outside of his room. And when he took the oxygen off, once, like he did it for like the 6th time in my shift, and I ran in his room. I said, don't you ever do that again, And I had good intentions, right? I had good intentions to help him. And then he saw that and he was like, you scared me. And he was so sweet. He's like, can you just hold my hand? And so I held his hand, and it was different because I think he felt my intention was good, even though I was yelling at him. And then we were able to have a conversation about it. But I think that, of course, some things can be misconstrued depending on the intention and how the message is delivered, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And where the people are receiving it, if they're wounded, they may take it wrong, no matter how beautiful you send the message with the cherry on top and the whipped cream and the hugging, and still people can take it wrong, which is unfortunate. But I'm sorry, Craig, go ahead.
I was just going to agree with you. That's all. My sense of humor is quite sarcastic, and sometimes I can say something and I'm laughing, but it comes across really bad in text because they don't hear my intention, like you're just saying. And I'm learning, to be careful the way I say things. But I'll say something really quite offensive with a smile on my face, and they think I'm being really offensive. It's just an example I thought of. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, how many friendships have broken down because of misconstrued communication? And sometimes the problem is with the hearer, like you said, where they're at, and you can be. What's the? I think it's a proverb, isn't it? Like, better are the wounds of a friend than the, I don't know, nice words of an enemy, or something along those lines. Sometimes we need a bit of a bollocking. Sometimes we need somebody to come to us and say, look, you're wrong in this area. Because they want to correct us. Again, it's just having that level of maturity and sort of character just to take it like an adult at the end of the day, and not fall out over petty little things. You know, we see that so much in the community, and you know, just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you're sworn enemies. You know, we all have between the three of us, we probably have 3 different perspectives on so many different topics, but that's where we need to come together. The way I look at it is I remember years ago, and I've said this before, but like the Hebraic way of looking at disagreement is that actually makes you friends rather than enemies, because you've got something for each other. You've got a different perspective for each other. So just in the topic of communication, I think it's really important that we remember that. And yes, email, text, if you've got something important to communicate, do it with the voice, like you said, Sharnael. Totally agree.
I think listening to yourself, we might slightly get off topic, but I was walking my dog this morning and I was reminiscing like on my childhood and going to Catholic school and going to high school. And I remember being like really young and like looking at my parents and being like, you people make no sense. Like they would try and teach me something, but their words didn't align with their actions. Or they felt a certain way. They were trying to tell me to do something, but it wasn't the feeling that I was feeling from them. It was, there was a dissonance there, and I could feel that. And then I learned, like when I was in school, if I had a teacher who didn't want to teach, I wouldn't listen to her because there was a dissonance between the information. I would be like, there's something inside of me, like, I don't believe you. And same thing with religion. I really didn't get super indoctrinated with religion because the frequency of the priests that would teach the children, there was a huge, like, you don't mean what you're saying, or there's something off with the intention, right? Yeah. And I was just thinking, you know, with religion and them teaching me stuff in high school, I was like, you know what? I knew it was bullshit the whole time. And now here we are, we're somewhat getting vindicated for all of these lies and indoctrination. So I was just going to say, I think the frequency and the attention and listening to that inner compass, because we are all God, we're all part of one, and we can tell when there's a dissonance with our inner being or with information being, you know, broadcasted to us. So I think that's important to note. It's a safety mechanism.
Yes, and just like with the field, with the biofield, you guys have heard me talk about this, but when someone has lower numbers on the map of consciousness and their evolution of where they are, they have like 0 field anyway. They're actually pulling in from other people to generate they can't generate their own, so they use someone else, versus someone who has really high numbers and it's kind of evolved in consciousness, and they have a bigger influence. And so, you know, with that influence comes more responsibility. And, you know, it goes both ways. It's when you get to that point of responsibility, you know, then you have choices, and the choices get bigger and bigger and bigger as you go. And I just posted something on one of this other stuff of everything that happens to be going on right now. And I was like, you know, my mentor always said, and you know, Craig, Bob Jones, he always says the pitfalls are the gold, the glory, and the girls or the guys, you know, the 3 G's. And, you know, it's either someone wants fame at any cost, or someone wants money and they're trying to do all this stuff just to get money, which can be felt also, and or getting entrapped or baited into, you know, some sexual downfall or some energetic situation where it doesn't even have to be physical, but it can just be an emotional connection online or over the phone, or, you know, just something past the borders of what is a clean relationship. And so those are some big kind of pitfalls that I've seen people fall into over how many decades now. And we've all seen that
in the world of ministry, right?
Ministry, community, life, you know, business, it all goes across all borders. And so those are some things, if we're aware. I mean, like when I was working with Bob, and really still to this day, like I used to have to pick people up for conferences or send people to go pick up speakers for conferences. If it was a guy, I would send a guy. If it was a guy and there was no guys to go, you know, to be there, and it was only me, then I would bring another girl or two. So I had accountability, and it couldn't look weird, or no one could say this happened or that happened, but just to provide that kind of protection or whatever of how things could be perceived. And same thing with, you know, phone calls or texts or whatever. I try to always like make everything completely vulnerable and, you know, open, so there's no room for any kind of misunderstanding and feeling like, you know, oh shit, there's some kind of relationship here or something going on, and be very communicative with my partner, so he's in on everything and aware of everything that's happening. So there's no like, oh, I found this out and this is a surprise, why didn't you tell me, you know? And so even karmic things with those kind of things, those three things, gold, glory, and girls or guys, could be, you know, could go both ways. But yeah, any thoughts on that?
I was thinking that people, a lot of us, and we may have mentioned this last show, but there's a lot of, the reason that we've been indoctrinated and had these limiting beliefs is so that we create that system. So we've been given like limiting beliefs that are outside of the creator. So we create the upside down world or the Antichrist world. And so a lot of people, you know, you might say you have a good intention, but maybe there's somewhere in the subconscious where you're actually looking for this. And so you attract an experience that maybe was not like your choice, kind of like not your conscious choice, but it was technically, you did attract it to, because that was your intention subconsciously. So a lot of us, like everyone born on planet Earth, there's part of our subconscious we're probably not totally aware of, because we've all been manipulated and indoctrinated. And that's why intention, going inward to see what our true, what we're actually creating, is really important. So yeah, just so much. I think we mentioned this, but TV, music, everything, you know, all of it. So that's my thought.
I think as well, we talk a lot about being authentic and real. You know, I think that's why I vibe so much with you guys, is because there's no pretense. We're not trying to be something. We're not trying to portray an image, anything more than what we are as normal people at the end of the day. And I say normal. All right, we're not normal, are we? But, you know, you know, being real and authentic, I think that has a frequency as well. Admitting, you know, when you're not doing very well, admitting if you're struggling, or, you know, something's hurting you, or, you know, just being honest, you know, talking karmically or reaping what you sow. I think that's vital, because if you're putting up a fake self, you know, you're wearing a mask, pardon the pun, recently, you're gonna reap the same thing. You know, you're going to attract those kind of people in your life. Now, when I started to speak out about things and start to really truly be authentic to things that I was seeing and feeling, yeah, I lost a lot of friends. A lot of people left me because they're like, I don't even know you anymore. And I'm like, okay. But for every person I lost, I gained 10 more, you know, of real, true, authentic friends. And you know, obviously Sharnael and yourself are people that I'm meeting along the way. But whilst you were talking, Megan, there's something came to my mind. And we don't have to go if you don't want to. But I was thinking, you know, like with all these sort of spiritual principles and these karmic laws that we talk about. And I know as a species, we have this ability to create reality. And I know that cosmically we're considered quite powerful, I guess, or quite able. And that's why the negative ones have infiltrated this planet, and they use us, and they've enslaved us essentially to use our creative abilities. Do these? And I'm asking the question because I'm asking myself the question. Do we think that these kind of entities are bound by the same karmic laws as us? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's why they're called universal law, because it's not just United States of America or the UK or the North America or the Earth. I mean, that's just my opinion. I would say they have their day too, personally, or they're good, you know?
Yeah.
I was thinking like a lot of the indoctrination came from 3-letter agencies and World War II Germany. And those are all connected to reptilians. And, you know, reptilians had their deal on planet Mars. And there are beings in the universe that their intention is to create balance and uphold balance and justice in the universe. So they like to pretend that aliens aren't real people, or there's not a force in the universe that can hold them accountable, like the Galactic Federation. They want people to believe that lie so that we manifest it, or it makes them more powerful, but it's not true. So they do know universal law, and they have manipulated us to, they tell us lies so that we create it for them. They don't, like the reptilians, since I brought them up, they don't have the creative ability. So there's a lot of talk about genetics, but from my perspective, it's really more about the soul. The soul is what's powerful. And so they're really more after the soul because it's connected to source, and they need the source energy to create what they want, because they don't have that connection.
Well, heart, earth, best spelled backwards. The reason why DNA is so important to anything out there is because, and why humans are so important is because they have that heart, which is the magnet to create, and the whole law of attraction, which is actually one of our universal laws. And so that's a good point. They cannot create, so they have to use us to create for them. Same thing with people in low scalar waves. It's really hard to create if you have an inverted biofield. You have zero influence. And that's why they use mass bots and media and social engineering to create for them, to give an illusion of creation, because they literally cannot do it themselves with their own voice. If you watch someone with a 50 vibe speak on a platform or a TV show or whatever, you can, if you're aware and in tune, you can feel it. And there's zero feeling of positivity. There's not a good undercurrent. There's, if anything, it's like an enticement to try to entrain you into a lower current, which hopefully we can rise above that and do that. But it's very tangible, something you can be, something heard and felt when we are aligned. And again, that's why they push so much social engineering, whether it's celebrities, movies, whatever, because that's their only way to create and then to bring us into creating for them. And I mean, look at the Schumann. They put something out on the media, and immediately all of us feel there. We have a focused, pointed direction of what they want us to look at and have a response to and a reaction to, and that creates a Schumann response. And in September, a 9-day blackout. So that there's all this generated things, whether they're using HARP to do weather issues or riots through school to, God to voice tech, or, whatever the situation is. When our attention is brought there, then there is a creation opportunity if we're not careful. So that's how they generate. That's how they create, because they literally can't do anything otherwise.
Yeah, it's like the CIA and the Illuminati and their false idols, and propping someone up, the perfect illusion that everyone wants to buy into. And it's so that they can gather our attention, siphon energy, project lies, and help, manifest what they want. So, gosh, they suck.
As soon as they're finished, they're over. I mean, I think it's all crumbling, isn't it? It's all coming down, and it's coming down because we, the people, the normal, everyday working folk, are realizing we're learning about these topics, and we put these things out for free because we've got a passion for humanity at the end of the day, and we're learning just as much as everybody else. Just because we're on the screen doesn't make us any better than anybody else. We're all on this journey together. We're all growing, and as the normal everyday folk learn this stuff, they're finished. I just remember. Do you remember the film Labyrinth with David Bowie?
I never saw it.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the whole premise of the film is he takes this child, he steals this child, and she has to go through all these the labyrinth and all these crazy situations to get to the child, and all she has to do to end it all and get the child back is to remember he has no power over her. And as soon as she goes, "You have no power over me," the whole illusion collapses. She's got the baby. She's back in the real world. And I'm like, what a picture. It's like Hollywood was telling us back in the day. All we have to do is remember that these entities, these establishments, they have no power over us. They use and usurp our own power to create the illusions for ourselves. It's really twisted and very narcissistic.
Just like the Wizard of Oz, you know, it's like, exactly. Oh, you have the shoes the whole time. We all have the shoes. We can all do the things. We all have the technology. It's just, do we know it? Do we believe it? Are we putting it into action, which is another law, the law of action. To achieve something, one must take action. So, I mean, you could think about something all day long, but if you don't actually do something, then there isn't a big response or not reaction, I guess, response or positive outcome or negative outcome, because actions can be positive and negative. What do you guys say about the law of action?
It just reminds me of something very simple, like if someone really wants to lose weight but doesn't put into like a program of, okay, I'm going to work out every day and put into action a plan, then you can think about being skinny all you want or in shape, but it's never, you have to put it into, a plan.
3D world.
Yeah. You have to be in this plane. It can't just be like, la, 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 I'm there and I imagine it and boom, it happens. Yeah.
Something simple like I want to be a nurse. Okay, well then you have to go through the proper steps of going through that program, getting a nursing degree and stuff like that.
Yes, and I'm going to give a shout out to Matthew. Hey, Matthew, what's up? We're going to see you this Sunday, members only, for our Destiny session, and I'm really excited. It's going to be a full hour of Matthew and I just giving Destiny readings to everybody. So everyone who's a member. So if you're not a member, definitely jump on. We just want to do something extra special for the actual people who are helping us keep this show go on. And let's talk about, since we're there, let's talk about the law of compensation. That's one of the spiritual universal laws. Give me your 2 cents on that, and then I'll give you mine. And I'd love to hear anybody else about law of compensation. This is a group chat, so I want group discussions. I'd love to hear you guys.
It reminds me of like needing an equal energy exchange, whether it's money or effort. Like say you're in a partnership or a marriage with someone, like they bring to the table something and then you meet them halfway and there's an energy exchange, an equal energy exchange. That's how I feel about it. And a lot of that, then there's like, I don't know if this is a universal law, but then you get into balance and how things are balanced in the universe. And are you giving more than you're receiving? And a lot of times people are programmed, like when we talk about empaths and narcissists in this whole world we live in, there's a lot of people who are trained to give without boundaries, and then they receive little to nothing back because they don't have that idea about themselves. It's a subconscious programming, and they all kind of go into one.
Yeah, that's pretty much when Sean asked the question, that's what I was thinking. I think we need to remember that the universe, all of creation is engineered in our favor. The only thing that works against us is when we're working against the natural universal laws we're talking about. And so I guess for me, the law of compensation is, injustices do happen, and negative things do happen. And I think when we stay true to the mission, true to our identity, true to ourselves, the law of compensation will kick in, that we will be compensated. That there will be, as we stay true to the call, the mission, our true divinity, that there is a spiritual law, a universal law that will come into place, that when we stay the path, it will always work out in our greatest good, always.
Yeah, the universe will take care of you. I've heard this before because I work as a medium. If God gave you a gift, why don't you do readings for free, or why don't you donate your time for free? And a lot of stuff I do for free, but I also require an energy exchange. So it's not about the money or becoming rich. It's just so that I'm receiving something back when I'm giving something out. And that is an energy exchange. And it takes me a lot to become or to say like stay spiritually sound and refine my skills and make sure that I am taken care of so that I can take care of other people. So it's like a law of giving and receiving. Like when you have a mother, like when you're a mother and you have a child and a husband, there's an energy exchange between the parents, and then that also benefits the child. The child's taken care of when the mother's taken care of by the father, you know, which doesn't work perfectly in our world, but that's just, you know, a perfect example.
Yeah, and I actually had an encounter, dream, whatever you want to call it, one time where when I actually saw when I had sowed money into a person who was doing something, wasn't doing anything at that time, but later went to do some great things that affected a lot of people because of what I sowed into them, not just with money, but with time, counseling, relationship. You don't have to sow just with money, although money is a transaction, but there's emotional transactions, and there's relational transactions, and there's other kind of type of transactions that where you can sow or give away things, or there's those kind of things too that come back. But in this encounter, what I saw is that when there was like a record book, and the book was filled with all of this stuff that was accredited unto me, and again, this is just like a dream, but it made a huge impact on me because I had given to this young girl my time and some money and just some of my background and coaching, at no cost. She then went on and did all this amazing stuff. And when I didn't know that she had done that. I had not even like talked to her, but in the dream, I saw this book, and it was credited unto me for helping this lady at the hospital and opening up in an orphanage and doing all this stuff. And I was just like, I didn't do that. And I was really questioning, like, what is this about? And they said, remember when you gave to that girl, remember when you gave to that guy, remember when you did this at that school, or did that free online class, or whatever is. So there can be exchanges and transactions and accounting processes that go in our favor energetically just by giving in that sense too. A smile at the airport when someone is about to off themselves and you have no idea. Like, everything that we do has a ripple effect, and there is an exchange on some level. And so it doesn't always have to be like a physical, I give you money. And what I encourage is, if you don't have money, that's a great time to figure out how to give in some way, whether it's like go clean out your stuff in your house. And if you're not using stuff, find someone to give it to and bless, or go volunteer your time, or go do something, because that can get the energy moving and some traction to clear, to have some stuff come back to you right away if you are in that position. Not like you're giving to get, but just because it's a way to move energy and to shift some things out of the joy of your heart. And again, the limbic system cannot tell the difference between giving to you and giving to me. And so every time I give physically, whether it's a compliment or money or or anything, my brain, my limbic system actually sets it up, like starts doing chemicals as if I've just received the gift myself. And then that changes my chemistry, and I'm marinating in that joy of feeling like, yay, I just received something, or someone just smiled at me, or whatever. And that's a good feeling. And it does something to your immunity, to your metabolism, to your brain chemistry, to your endorphins. So it doesn't have to be like a dollar sign kind of giving. And I don't know. We've only covered like what, 3 again?
I'm gonna say that's also karma. So you get what you give. You just covered karma too. Karma was sewed into there. And then the law of vibration. I don't know if this is the law of vibration, but you get back what you are. So, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So that was there's another one that's tied in back to that.
Yeah. They definitely cross over in a way. So obviously, since we've only covered 3 today, and I think 1 in the first one, we might have to have a part 3. I don't know how you guys feel about this. And
totally.
Chat land. What do you think? We need to do part 3 so we can actually finish the rest of these. But yeah, we're at the top of the hour already. This is just like flown by. So any final words here as we go for the day? And also, I'll just say too, please do share this, like, give loves, you know, whatever that helps us with the algorithms of things to be, you know, for other people to see it. You never know who is going to see this and actually learn something or remember something or ignite something in them to do something positive and in service and in love, or just to remember what they're doing is good and help them kind of feel good. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, I've just been staying grounded and taking care of myself and, you know, working out and kind of staying offline a little bit. And that's helped me. So give that advice to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, for me, pursuing your passions, doing what you enjoy, you know, really generates that positive feeling, and it will create more of it as well. You know, I mean, Sharnael knows I'm doing lots of new things at the moment, things that are taking up a lot of my time, but I'm loving every minute of it, and I'm really enjoying where I'm at the moment. And although there's a lot of crap going on as well, it's kind of like you kind of just push it out and just like, you know what, this is my world right now, and I'm at peace, and this is enjoyable, and you kind of activate the magic again. You know, when you're in that resonance of happiness and joy and peace. And things will fall into place. So I just recommend, you know, remember how to enjoy your life, and you know, whether it be just a cup of coffee, and you just relax, or go to a theme park, or just remember how to have a laugh again. I think that's really important.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And one more shout out to Deb. Hey, Debbie Elliott. She's one of our members. We love you so much. Can't wait to see you soon. Yeah. A lot of people are saying part three is great. Lots of good comments here. You guys are just so amazing. I love how you guys jump in and you're so loving and you're like hugs, love, all this good, beautiful, beautiful comments from beautiful people. And we just adore you so much. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You guys can subscribe. You can get members. This Sunday, we are going to be with Matthew. Really excited to have him for a whole hour just for our members. And Craig will not be able to join us, unfortunately, at this one because he's going to be off doing his adventures, but we'll get him back. And then we have Megan back in November to do a Destiny reading session as well. So you guys subscribe, share, like, get the word out, become a member. If you can help support us, that would be great. And again, just love you guys. Go to swiftfire.org, get on the newsletter. And yeah, I mean, this went really fast, honestly.
Too fast.
It went really, really, really fast. And yeah. All right. Love you guys. Oh, wait, you know what? I have an announcement that I forgot that
Yeah,
I'm just
maybe
Megan's birthday tomorrow. So everyone give her a shout out, you know, just a quick shout out of all your love, Megan. She has a big 3-0 coming up tomorrow. So, happy birthday. May this be your absolute best year ever, my friend. I love you so much. I'm getting teary-eyed. I just love you. And Craig, I know he feels the same. And there's so many people who just adore you and what you're doing. And we celebrate your birth. We celebrate you being with us. And I'm just that I get to be in this experience.
I'm embarrassed.
So amazing. So everyone, don't forget to send her a happy birthday. There's like millions of birthdays out there. All you guys said.
Love you guys.
Look at all the comments. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we will go out on a bang, and please stay tuned. Hit the notifications so you can find out when our next part 3 is and all the great things that we're doing. And yeah, thank you for all the love to Megan on her birthday. I just
Thanks,
love
guys.
What are you going to do for your birthday real quick?
I am going to my grandma's house. So I'll be going to eat with my nan, she just finished radiation. So woohoo. And she's 87. So,
wow.
So I'll be at her house.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, you enjoy your time with your family, and yeah, be looking in the mail because somebody might have sent you something, but no. Anyway, love all of you guys so much. And we'll chat next week. Next week, we actually have Robert back with us, Robert Allen. Craig and I will have Robert, and we're going to talk about psychometry, which is huge and fun. And we have a lot of testimonies and stories and just teaching on the ability to tap into that in your DNA and use that for service. And super excited. All right. Talk soon. Love you guys.
Right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for all the birthday love to Megan. Woohoo. Oh, make me tear up too. I love all y'all. Talk soon.